Have you been spending years learning how to be cool? you know? Or maybe another way to say it is socially awesome or confident talking to girls or to groups of people, maybe talking in front of a group of people. Being confident in social scenarios. Have you been learning this? And if you're anything like me, yes, you knew how important it was. So years of learning was totally fine because we know how important our social life is for every aspect of our life, our ability to socialize and be with others. And for me, I took it a step further. I didn't just learn it through books, videos, and talking to friends. I actually took a step further and became a waiter. That was something I did and it was awesome. I want to tell you all about it because I met this guy who was a natural extrovert, very cool, very funny, and his name was Francisco. And Francisco was one of the best waiters ever. I think I never met a better waiter up to this day. So I spoke to him. He was my friend and I asked him, dude, how are you so good? How are you so good at this? Man, give me some pointers. Give me some tips. What should I do? And he told me some awesome stuff that I ended up using. One of which was to reuse jokes. To reuse jokes. So I'd go up to every table and just practice some jokes. And the ones that hit, I would just start using them over and over and over again with different tables. And I got really good at this. I got really good at doing quick little engagements and jokes. Hey, I'll just practice every single day. I had practice, right? I'd come in. Hey, all right. So management told me that you're looking for a very beautiful, sexy waiter to come here and take care of you. Sadly, he's not available, so you're going to have me instead. All right. Just kidding. All right. My name is Arnold. I'm here to serve you today. And I just want to know, is there any special scenario, any special reason why you guys are here? Oh, it's your birthday. Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Happy birthday. We're going to embarrass you a little bit later. All right. I'm going to sing and dance for you. All right. But you're going to get a treat at the end too. So congratulations. How old are you? Oh, that's awesome. All right. It was just like boom, 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 boom. I knew exactly what to say to be gregarious in these quick engagements. And I would just do the same thing over and over again. What are we drinking here tonight? And then I look at the kid and be like, oh, Jack and Coke. He looks like a Jack and Coke guy. Everybody would be laughing. I'd be like, nah, I'm just kidding. He's driving. All right, what drinks do you guys want? And I actually got really good at like upselling things and getting people very comfortable. Basically, I was working the room. I got really good at working the room in that type of environment, right? And I became an awesome waiter. And because of Francisco and his guidance, I became a really, really good waiter, got a lot more money, and I felt like my social skills were improving drastically because now I had people laughing. I felt comfortable going up to people and talking to them. Complete strangers. I would go up to their table and talk to them. It was really cool. And then another person who helped me out was a friend named Antonio. And Antonio taught me all about how to pick up girls. He gave me this book called The Game. And he was like, dude, I'm going to read this book. I'm reading this book and I want you to read it with me. And I want to go out and practice talking to girls with you. And I was like, all right, cool, dude. So we read the book together. We learned the techniques. We went out there and we learned about having pre-planned conversations and conversation starters, how to open up conversations with people. And also how to have pre-planned conversations after the fact, after the opening of a conversation. So we were going all out, all over the campus, just opening up conversations with people. Obviously girls, right? So we were opening up conversations with girls. And then we had these stories that we would tell and we had people laughing. It took a little bit of time to practice, but eventually both of us together, we were like a dynamic duo. And we knew everything. We knew how to move our body. We knew where to stand. We knew how to have the girls like here in front of us and when to take a step forward, when to take a step back. Like we learned it all. We learned all the techniques that we needed to be awesome at going to parties. I remember having girls all around us, and then new girls would come in and be like, yo, who are these awesome guys who are just sitting here with tons of girls around them? People are over there dancing. There's guys on the side not knowing what to do. And we looked like we were awesome dudes because we just had all these girls around us laughing, partying with us, right? So obviously I thought this was amazing stuff. I was like, dude, my social skills are next level. I'm awesome. And I had friends that would come over to my room, to my place. I had the Super Smash Brothers. I felt like, yo, socially, I'm done. I got this. And I felt empowered, you know? I felt good. I felt confident. I felt great. And then reality hit. And reality hit because, man, once I got certain success, right? Let's say I met a girl and it was just like, okay, I'm going to bring her to my room. I'm going to get to know her a little bit more or whatnot. I realized that I couldn't go deep with people. You know, I was good at these little engagements, few minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. I'd have stories, and then I'd also feed off my friend. So many times it was just like, anytime I'd go anywhere, I'd want my friend around me. You know, even if I met a girl and she was interested in me and we wanted to talk and she wanted to be like hanging out or whatnot, I would still want my friend there. I know that sounds lame. I know it sounds lame. I was like, dude, yo, come. And actually a few times my friend had to be like, dude, just hang out with her. Dude, hang out with her alone. You don't need me, bro. But I felt comfortable, dude. I felt comfortable with him. I didn't know how to go deeper. I didn't know how to just like be myself. It was just like, dude, she heard all my stories. All the things that I wrote. I was like, oh man, what am I going to talk about now? What am I going to do, right? Because it was all just pre-planned stuff that helped me to manage social situations and to feel like I'm in control of these scenarios because I had these pre-planned things that I could use whenever I wanted. And what I realized was, oh man, I learned all this social skills. I learned all this stuff about my mind and my social skills and how to pick up girls, only to find out that it was all just surface level stuff. I haven't even started to do the real work, to do the inner work. Man, that was tough. That was disappointing. It was very confusing because like the stories that I just told you about with Francisco, with Antonio, these were years. You know, these were like 2-3 years of like me really working it and learning from books and learning all these different principles. Learning all the principles of like, all right, talk to someone, look at them in the social gaze, right? Principles of ask people more questions than you're talking, etc. Ask people questions about themselves. And, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I was learning about Dale Carnegie's book about how to influence people and all this stuff. So I was learning a lot of stuff. But like I said, I realized that I was not getting into the depth because of the fact that I couldn't go deep with people. I'd get to talk to these girls and then I didn't know what to do. I couldn't get deeper. And with anyone, I couldn't be deep. I was always just surface level. And once I ran out of my little tricks, my little pre-planned stories, my little things that that I knew that would work, that would hit, that would be okay, then I was back to super anxious. I didn't know what to do anymore. So I was not confident in myself. I wasn't internally confident. What I was confident in the things that I learned, in these techniques, in these tricks that I just had in my back pocket at all times. So that's what I was confident in, not myself. And I noticed this most especially when I started doing sales. When I started, man, I'm telling you, I went hardcore to be socially confident. I went out and did door-to-door sales. All right, that's the next thing I did after college. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna do door-to-door sales, and that sucked, bro. I lived in New York. People were not nice. People were not nice for a door-to-door salesman coming here and trying to sell them Verizon. You know, I had people yell at me. I had a lot of it wasn't just rejection. I had people yell at me. I had New Yorkers, like business owners, yell at me. I'm just like this young kid, fresh out of college, and I had like these people yell at me. And I mean, of course, I was being taught how to overcome objections and stuff like that. Whew. But wow, man, there was many times that I had no idea what to do, and then I was frozen. I was frozen in place, man. There was some days that I got such a bad rejection that I just quit. I just quit those days. I was like, man, I can't do this. I'm done. I didn't know how to bounce back. I didn't know how to talk. I really didn't know how to talk to people. I knew how to open, It was the same thing. Actually, I had a sales script, so I started getting better at it. But I noticed it was like, oh man, there's something not real. Actually, this is when I really noticed that everything that I learned up to here was just surface level BS. And it wasn't sufficient. Even though it worked, it wasn't sufficient. I was learning about the Friars. And many of you guys know I was a Friar for 5 years. But before entering the Friars, I had to meet them. They had to meet me. And I had to discern, am I called to be a friar? Do I want to be a friar? So I got to know them for like 2 years. And there was one guy, Father Michael, who ended up being one of my instructors, one of my formators. He told me early on that he notices in me that I'm a great guy, all this stuff. He was very good at the compliment sandwich. He would start with the awesome stuff, and then he would just say, "But I see you as unsettled. I watch you around here with meeting the friars, meeting the other men who are discerning, and you just go from one group to another, and you just keep moving. And it seems like you're not still, you're not settled, and you just go from a few minutes here, a few minutes there, a few minutes there, and then you go out and smoke a cigarette." Which he was like, "That's okay." They weren't like hating on me for smoking a cigarette, but he would just bring these things up. And when he brought it up, I was like, "What are you talking about, man? That's awesome." That's what real awesome social skill people do. They work the room. I'm working the room like I did when I was a waiter, like I did when I was at a party, right? I would just like work the room. And if I wanted to settle, I would be settled. If I was being, entertained or whatever, I would settle. So at first I wanted to like reject what he's saying, but then I started thinking, I was like, nah, you know what? Actually, yeah, whenever a conversation would get a little bit more than I could handle, and I would start feeling the anxiety within, I would excuse myself and go smoke a cigarette, And I still seemed cool while I was doing it, I knew how to say it, but like, all right, I'm going to smoke up and then I'll be right back, and then go do it. And, I didn't look like a loser. I didn't look like I was super anxious. I was just this guy who smoked cigarettes. I also used alcohol to numb myself when I went to go out to parties, right? I thought I was extroverted. I thought I was hugely extroverted. I thought like at an extroversion level, I was a 10 out of 10 because I would go out and I would party for like 3 or 4 times a week. And then especially when I was going out there and learning to pick up girls and stuff like that, it was just like, all right, we had to always be out. So we'd be out, we'd be meeting people, I'd be bringing people to my room, etc. And I thought I was super extroverted, but what I noticed was like, oh no, you know what? I wasn't extroverted. I was just numbing myself with alcohol. That's what I was doing. I like to go party because I like to go out there and numb myself with alcohol so that I wouldn't feel anxious while I was talking to people. And I did the same thing with weed, with some of my friends, and we'd play video games. And I would have the cool place. I had the cool place where everybody would come and hang out. I had the Super Smash Brothers for the old N64 Super Smash Brothers. Everybody would come, hang out. I had the black lights. I had like the cool room with the couch, everything tailored, set up so that people could come and hang out in my space. And that was basically me controlling the space, me controlling everything. So that it was cool. I was cool. I was calm. That was my room. That was my space. That was my place. I could do whatever I want, But then put me outside of that environment, somewhere new, without alcohol, without drugs, without cigarettes. Man, I was going downhill. I was like, I'd start getting more anxiety, more nervous, right? And then especially if I was running out of my tricks, right? My funny little things and my ways of talking to people, the pre-planned conversations, the stories that make me look better, that build me up, etc. All those things. Once I started running out of that, it was like, oh man, I got to get out of here. Man, what am I doing here, So I just wanted to let you know that was basically part of my journey. Like I had these awesome stuff that happened that I learned that seemed great, but at the same time, they weren't sufficient because I was never working on the inside stuff. And then really what ended up changing was I went online, I went on YouTube, and I started following Elliot Hulse. And a lot of people here know him because he's a famous YouTuber. He was one of the people who was very influential to many millions of men in the world, right? And he was very influential for me too. And one of the things that he was working on and learning was bioenergetic analysis therapy. You may know it as bioenergetics. And this is a body-mind type of therapy, which he was using and learning from a powerful, awesome therapist. And it seemed like it was really working for him. It's like how he started, and then after he started doing the bioenergetics, he was being much more charismatic. His videos were growing. He was very confident and charismatic and just boom, 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 just pumping out videos and pumping out information and content. And it was awesome. It was like, whoa, this guy is freaking dope. So let me find out. Let me find out what he's doing. And I started learning about bioenergetics. I read Alexander Lowen's books. He's the founder of bioenergetics, Dr. Alexander Lowen. And I began to do his exercises. And I started noticing results in weeks. In weeks' time, it was like, wow, I'm noticing that I'm able to stand myself a little bit more, and to stand other people a little bit more while I'm talking. You know, instead of having to run away in 5 minutes after conversating with somebody, it was like, oh, I could leave. I could leave or stay. I was like, oh, I could stay here. I can leave. I'm always allowed to leave. It was like, ooh, all right, I could stay here a little bit longer, just breathing. Whew. And just standing. It was like, oh man, this is interesting. There's something here. So I started learning more, started reading more and doing more of the exercises. And just like within weeks, it was like, whoa, man, I'm starting to feel much more grounded, much more calm, and a new ability to just freely be myself. And it took a little bit of time. I'm not going to say it happened immediately because I had to learn the exercises and try them out. But I started also taking it a step further, as I usually do. And I went to a seminar to learn more from a hands-on personal therapist. You know, they were a bunch of different therapists that were doing this seminar. And it was to get credits for becoming a bioenergetic therapist. That was something that I was interested in. So they were holding on to my credits. They were like, all right, first you have to get your full degree in psychology or social work in order to get the credits. But since you're doing these exercises and you're learning from us, we'll just hold on to these and then we'll give it to you afterwards. And they told me the books that I needed to read, etc. So I started reading, I started doing the exercises. I went to that seminar. I also went to Elliot Hulse's grounding camp, really experienced a lot of grounding and breakthroughs through that. And then I found my own personal therapist that I went to for 2 years, and he taught me a lot more. So because of that, man, I started really learning and experiencing myself in my body. Now, this is the biggest part. This is huge. I think many times we don't talk about this. We only talk about the external stuff. The internal stuff is really where the power is, though. Learning who I am, learning myself deeply, knowing who I am allowed me to begin to trust myself more in any scenario. Anywhere I go, I trust myself. I could say a joke, any joke that comes to my head, to my mind. I can just say the joke, and if it doesn't hit, I trust myself enough to be like, all right, that's okay. Or if it hurts somebody or offends somebody, it's just like, oh, okay. I trust myself enough to be like, oh man, I'm sensitive enough to see that, to know that, to be like, oh man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, you know? So because of that, there was no more need to overthink. I was not overthinking anymore. I was not planning out, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Basically, I just realized that it was just like, man, a lot of what I was being taught, all these principles, all these books, all these dating advice, all that stuff was just me being fake. It was me being fake. In a way, right? Okay, it wasn't totally being fake because the stories were real, some stuff were real, but it was just like, man, in many ways, it was just me performing. That's a better way to say it. It was just me performing. Everywhere I'd go with anybody I met, it was just like, all right, here's the person. This is like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Yeah. Boom, yeah. And then I had like these things that I could just use. And it was just like, yeah, people thought I was cool. People didn't know I was like super socially anxious. That sometimes I didn't want to like leave my room and, you know, like there's many different things. Or that I was just constantly thinking about myself, you know? I was not secure in myself. I was not calm around people, and I didn't trust myself for a long time, especially when these tricks were no longer available. You know, when I ran out of my tricks, it was just like, dude, I went back to not being secure and not trusting myself. So basically, what I'm inviting everybody here to do is to start learning about body-mind therapy. You know, start learning about the body-mind connection, so that you can start working on the interior stuff, the internal stuff, the internal change, specifically exercises that you can use for your transformation. In my opinion, bioenergetic analysis therapy is the best. It's got everything that you need, right? It's got the grounding so that you can be able to stand yourself, so that you can be centered, balanced, secure in your body, in your mind, and so you can stand other people. So you could stand with them and just stand and be secure in yourself. There's also the breathing aspect. You may just, there's a lot of awesome people who teach breath work, But I think in bioenergetics, you get the grounding, you get the breath work, and you get like the other stuff that comes with it. It's not just doing breath work. And the breath work here will tap into your parasympathetic nervous system so that you could be calm in seconds. So through your breathing, you can just be calm. You're releasing a lot of the stuff, the trappings that aren't allowing you to breathe fully and just be calm. And then, of course, the shaking and vibrating your muscles, shaking your whole body, releasing yourself of stiff areas in your body that cause you to like fidget or twitch, or like when you're meeting somebody to like be a little weird and be a little awkward. You work on that, you release it, and then it's no longer present. It's no longer present anymore. And it takes away a lot of those unresourceful patterns that your body has. What we call neurotic holding patterns. I don't want to get too deeply into it, but neurotic holding patterns that aren't allowing you to freely express yourself and be yourself, to freely breathe and to be calm and to just enjoy life. And ultimately what it does is it breaks you free from the effects of trauma in your body and in your mind because of the body-mind connection. That is awesome. That is next level stuff. There's also other things that you can use. There's Peter Levine's work and Gabor Mate and whatnot. Yeah, good. If you want to stick with me, go through this channel, look at the free resources that I have and learn. Just learn and experience what it feels like to transform your body and transform your mind. And I know that this works because of the people that are in my coaching business, the people who have bought my courses, and the success that they have. So I suggest that you really start learning about this stuff instead of just focusing on the surface level. Even though the surface level sometimes works, eventually you're going to come to the same place that I found myself, where it's just like, man, I'm not confident in myself. I'm confident in these techniques, in these tricks. And these techniques and these tricks, sadly, never worked on the interior self. It never released all those physical, mental, emotional patterns that kept me anxious and stifled and held back. It never worked on any of those. And it didn't retrain my nervous system to be calm, to be cool, to be confident, to be charismatic, to be free. It never did any of that. It was just things that I could use externally. It was all surface level. So I hope that you start really considering, man, I'm going to learn about this stuff. I'm going to read some of Alexander Lowen's books. If you have any questions of which books to choose first, let me know. And actually what I'm going to do now is just close with Alexander Lowen's quote, because he said it the best. Alexander Lowen said, "In order to heal, we must be willing to confront and address the traumas and imbalances that are stored in our bodies in order to heal. By exploring and releasing the tensions held in our bodies, we can achieve a greater sense of freedom and authenticity." And that is what I've experienced. A new sense of freedom, a new sense of authenticity by addressing and confronting the traumas and imbalances that I felt in my body. Additionally, he just mentions how in doing this, we have a higher level and ability to love and to receive love, to give love and to receive love, because we're not all tight and traumatized and imbalanced. And I've experienced that too. So learn about this stuff. Take things to the next level. Learn about the body-mind connection and ways to improve yourself in this way. I hope you do. Peace.